Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm very happy to be here at the MS-PhD. I look forward to having a wonderful time with everyone in these next several years. But who is Troy Bonnier? Originally from New York City. I attended City University of New York at York College. That was a little while ago. And during that time, I was introduced to some very interesting research under Dr. Stefan Lakatos, where I quantified radioactive mineral concentrations and their distribution along Island. And what we got out of it, which is pretty interesting, which is still being analyzed today, was that was the source of radon gas. But how did we get to that was a very interesting thing. We basically crushed rocks, grinding them up into many, many small sizes, and we had to fractionate them with heavy liquid separation techniques, using instruments such as a magnetic separation utility, and as well as fractionating it into very small, very small particles, so that we could take out the important minerals, which were monzonite, which had radioactive minerals in there. That was a very interesting experience for me, very long time ago, which I was basically a city boy. I was a city boy, didn't really know much at the time. I think I was fueling airplanes. It was a very interesting time in my life, and I'm grateful to at least be able to participate in something like that. After that, at the time that I was ready to graduate with my bachelor's degree, I needed to take a field mapping class, and our class in New York was too small to have a field class, so I had to go somewhere in order to get this credit. And I was fortunate enough to go to the University of Montana, out of Missoula, in the Dillon mapping area. And that was a pretty neat experience. Once again, you're talking about a city guy, didn't know anything about grass, trees, forests, mountains. I was living at sea level most of my life. The next thing I know, I'm up at 5,000 to 7,000 feet. That was a pretty interesting experience, and I loved very much what I did there. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from it. Shortly after that, I got picked up by University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in their geology department, and they threw me into the USGS NAQUA Phase 1, their National Water Quality Assessment Program. And I was this hydrological technician, and they gave me just about anything. They said, well, you're pretty fast, you can do this, you can do that, let's put you to work. I found myself installing wells, figuring out how GPS works, conducting groundwater sampling activities, checking all the data when it came in from the research labs. I pretty much did all of the handiwork for our project in the Albemarle Pamlico Drainage Basin. It was a 28,000 square mile area, and it was a 4-year project. It was quite nice and a lot of fun. After that, actually during the course of my study, I had a lot of free time on my hands, so I went out with some friends, and I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with the Surrey Scarp in geomorphology, but in my study area, as well as my thesis area, I came across a very interesting feature, conducted a few sand sampling exercises to find out that actually there was an outcrop that was probably an extension that was never mapped before in the Surrey Scarp. And at the time, I didn't really know a whole lot about publishing, so I just made a paper and gave it to a professor of mine, and he really enjoyed it. And it was a really neat, interesting find with what I had at the time. My study area was Tar River, looking at the headwaters of Tar River to Tarboro, which we call the Upper Tar River Basin in North Carolina, and I developed a pollution load estimation model to understand baseline water flows, baseline water quality, and how to differentiate that from total loads to establish a pollution load. And it was a very nice study I performed, and that's how I did my master's, got my master's degree from that. Another thing really quick that was part of baseline water quality was identifying geochemical zones. These geochemical zones, basically the parent rock, contributes to the type of baseline water quality you have in a certain region. So that was a nice outlier of the study at the time. And just some of the basic statistics that I used in developing my model. also I looked at nutrient data as well as major ions and minor ions. Some of the gents that worked with me at the time. Then I was transferred to USGS Florida, where I was the GPS expert, managed some of their data sets, performed saltwater encroachments. I left the USGS and ended up in the geophysical industry. Oh, my goodness. So, with that being said, had some interesting adventures after that, working in Spain, etc. But here I am.